Allahu ya Allahu ya Allahu. In the name
We sent messengers as bringers of good tidings and warners, so that mankind will have no argument against Allah after the messengers. And ever is Allah exalted in might and wise.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. We've been talking about the prophets up until now in a general term and talking about the effects of following what they brought and what happens when people don't follow it. But now what I'd like to do is to tell you a little bit of background of some of these prophets so you can get a better understanding of how things came about, so you know the stories. We talked about Adam, and we talked about his wife, how they were created. We also talked about their children and what happened to them. Then after that, we mentioned another child that came called Sheth, or Seth, as they call him in English. He was instructed by Adam, as a prophet himself, to know certain things, like the alternation of day and night and the effects and the meaning of it. He also understood some of the prophecies of things to come. Even he knew about the great flood that would come one day when Noah came. After Seth, he had a son, and his name was Anush. Can you say that?
Anush.
Yeah. And then Kenan, Malhalabi. Who cares how you say their names, right? And then he had Yard. That's a strange name, isn't it?
Yard.
Yeah.
Yard.
And then Chanukh.
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 I don't know what's a Chanukh, but we call him Enoch. And his name is also Idris. Now with Idris came the first time people really start to learn how to read or write and use letters in the basic language like we sort of understand today. And Allah inspired him so much. In fact, he had some really good sayings, some excellent sayings. Some of them reach us today. One of the things he said was, a person becomes very happy when they look at their good deeds to intercede for them with Allah. What does that mean? It means when you do good deeds, then these things are good in front of Allah and helps maybe offset the bad deeds. And by the way, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us essentially that. If you do a bad deed, follow it up with what? Good deed. Another thing that he taught us about is that if you really want to show your gratitude to Allah for what Allah gives you, then you share it with other people. And by the way, sometimes that's hard for people to do because they have wealth or they have some money or something, and you don't want to share that with other people, you want it for yourself. But Allah gave it to you. So if you want to really show Allah thank you, you do what? You give it and you share it. Well, after this one, after Enoch or Idris, he also had a son. And then he had a son. And then came the next one called Noah or Nuh. And this is the one we want to talk about today, a little bit about him. And we have talked about it to some extent, but we just talked about the flood and what happened. But what actually came about in the beginning helps you to really understand today's point. The point today being what happens when people worship other than Allah. This is our main point to understand how real evil comes about. We've been talking about sins, talking about evil, but what really brings it about is when people begin to worship other than Allah. It comes in stages. And it's the same stages that came at the time of Noah alayhi salam. What we know is that when people begin to worship other than Allah, that's the beginning of the breakdown. That's the real problem. And so what happened, there were times when there were very good people, and they used to worship Allah. And they were following the religion of Adam. And when I say religion, I mean the way of Adam, what he did, what he taught, and what he was all about. La ilaha illallah, worshiping only Allah, and doing what Allah wants you to do. One of the people who at that time was very religious, his name was Wadan. Everybody loved Wadan, and he was very nice. And he did what? He worshipped Allah. He shared his wealth that Allah gave him with other people. He was very kind, very nice. And then he died. And the people were sad. Oh my God, they were sad and crying. And then Shaitan came to them and said, oh, you're so sorry for Wadan is gone, yes? Yeah, he's gone. So, okay, how about if I give you like a picture of him so you can remember him? This is good, a good idea. Even make a statue of him. Oh, that's good. Put a statue in the meeting place where people used to sit and meet. Put it right where he used to sit. Good idea. And the people used to come and even look at it and remember Wadan. What a great guy he was. Then Shaitan came to him again and said, how about I put one picture or image of him in your house, and in your house, and in your house. Oh, good idea. So we'll remember him. We loved him so much. And they did. Now the people didn't pray to him, and they didn't think he was Allah, but they did like those statues. And when those people died and their children came and they looked at him and they said, who is this? This is Wadan. Who is Wadan? Oh, okay. And they see, everybody seems to like this guy. So they start to ask. They're asking the statue for something. And their children did the same. And they began to believe, if I need anything, I can ask Wadan, the statue, for what do I need? Will it work? No. If they get it, it was really coming from Allah. If they didn't get it, it was still because of Allah. But they forgot about Allah, and they started thinking about these statues. And it wasn't just Wadan. There was another one that they thought had power, another one that they thought had wisdom, and another, and another. And all of these used to be people, and they died, and then they made the image or statue of those people. The people became far away from the right way because they were practicing something wrong. And we know it's not logical to ask from a rock or a stick or a stone. We already said that. This doesn't fit in your thinking, does it? It's wrong. So it's a lie. And it always starts the same way. Watch what happens. Remember the story we talked about when the children of Adam, they were upset. What happened? Because one of them, he doesn't want to obey his parents. Yeah? He didn't. He was disobedient to his parents. Marry this girl. He said, no, I want to marry this one. Remember? And then when Allah made it clear which one of them was right, which of the two boys, he still disobeyed. First he disobeyed his parents, then he disobeyed Allah. Then what did he do? He became angry and he killed his own brother. You're right. And this is horrible, yeah? But you see how it comes? It starts with lies. It starts with envy. Oh, he wanted what his brother had. Oh, I want that for me. So all of this adds up, and it adds up. And the people of the time of Noah were really bad. Really, really bad. And they used to want everything for themselves. And a few of them, they became rich, powerful, and wealthy. But most of the people were poor, and they had nothing. So when Noah alayhi salam came, Allah inspired him and let him understand the religion of Adam, the way of doing what Allah wants you to do. So he was very smart, by the way, high intellect. And he could argue with people in a good way. And he understood how to show them the signs of Allah in the day. And what comes in the day is the sun. And what happens in the day? Things grow. It becomes warm. And this is the time for activity. Now what happens in the alternation, though, of the night? In the nighttime, what happens? It's cool, quiet, and dark. And what happens then? You can look up or relax and think and look at the stars. Oh, we know our direction now by these stars. And we know the times of the seasons by the position of the moon and the shape of the moon. And we can tell even what day it is by the moon, yeah? So the people understood a lot from these signs. And he said, these are signs from Allah. This is from Allah. Not from these statues that you guys have. And then he met with all of the gathering of the people and he said, guys, check this out. Listen up. Here's what I have for you. And he began to talk, very high intellectual, explaining things to them, proving things. And they were like, huh? They were shocked. because they hadn't heard something like this before. These statues can't benefit you. There's no benefit here. Do you need something? You ask Allah. Plant stuff in the ground, let it grow out. Ask Allah to give you water. Can these statues make water rain here? No, but Allah can, because He created everything. They're like, yeah, well, They were pretty shocked. Now, what happened right away, the poor people, the downtrodden, they began to think, yeah, this makes sense. And they began to believe, and they began to follow Noah, alayhi salam. But the wealthy people, the powerful people of the community, they said, no, we don't believe that. And besides, you're no angel. You don't come to us and tell us anything. Noah alayhi salam said, okay, check it out. Did I tell you I'm an angel? I'm a human like you. I'm no different than you, except Allah inspired me what to say. I'm just showing you signs of Allah. They said, yeah, but you got all these losers, man. You got all these poor dudes with you. And to be honest about it, if you want us in your religion, you need to kick these guys out. And then we'll talk about it, because the rich and the powerful can't be in the same religion with the losers and the boozers. Let them go. SubhanAllah, look at this. And what did Noah alayhi salam tell him? He said, no way. No way. I'm not going to drive away the believers. It's not for me to do that. If you want to believe, this is with you. But if you want to disbelieve, only Allah is going to be the guide. So what happened? They began to reject what he said. And then they would say this and that, and then he would bring more proof. And they'd say, oh, darn, what about this? And he would bring more proof and more signs. And this went on until they were exhausted. They were fed up. And they bring something else, and he bring more proof. Because Allah has many signs, many proofs for the disbeliever. Even it went on for almost 1,000 years. On and on and on. And they still didn't believe.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Yasir Qadhi, and you're watching Peace TV, the solution for humanity.
Islamic International